In this video, you guys are going to see the exact method I used to get 99 Derek Jeter without spending a single dime in MLB The Show 23. But before we get into the video, if you guys have not already, please drop a like and subscribe and make sure you have notifications on. Thank you guys so much for clicking on this video, and let's get into it. So the first question you're probably asking yourself is, how did I get so many stubs to get Derek Jeter in under a month? And the simple answer is flipping the market, and I did go 12-1 3 times, and I had a 12-0 as well. Now, before you guys click off this video because I went 12-1 and 12-0, please just hear me out. The main reason I play BR is because I do have the skill actually to go 12-0, and it's a very good way to make stubs. But it's mainly because I just wanted to record this video and because I want to do other content with Derek Jeter and some of those collection cards. And it was just honestly to save myself some sanity. I mean, flipping the market is a very tedious thing. I actually streamed last night for 13 hours, and the majority of that stream was me just flipping the market. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you the exact methods I used and just my overall process of what I'm doing on the market when I am flipping. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come over to the marketplace, and we're going to go to equipment and perks. And now, honestly, this is where I made all of my stubs. I just flipped diamond and gold equipment. So right now, as you guys can see, I only have 34K because, again, I did finish the collections last night. I think it's about 1.8 million if I'm not mistaken. So since I'm starting at such a low amount of stubs, I wouldn't actually recommend flipping diamond equipment. I'd rather do gold instead. And the reason why I would do gold is because gold equipment is more common than diamond equipment, obviously. And gold equipment is going to sell faster, so I'm going to make more stubs. When I would start flipping diamond equipment is around 75,000 to 100,000. That's when I really would start to lock into it. But even when I had around like 800,000 stubs, I was still flipping gold equipment just because it is a good way to make stubs. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to flip on the market if you don't know already. If you guys do know how to flip the market, just go ahead and skip this part of the video. I have timestamps in the description, or you can use the timeline as well. So right now I'm looking at this and I see 1,970. So what I could do if I wanted to be first on the market, I could click on the buy square in the top right and create buy order. So what creating a buy order is going to do is going to put us in that right column. As you guys can see, there's a little bit of a gap. So instead of going for 1,970, I'm actually going to go for 1,968. That's actually gonna put me at first because it's sold. But let's just say somebody just pulled this out of a pack and they're gonna sell it to me, right? So they just sold it to me. It'll pop up in the top right hand corner like Pro SRZ has sold to you. What we would do then is we're gonna come over to the sell square. We're gonna hit create sell order. Again, I'm looking at the left side of the screen. There's not too many gaps to jump in, and I like to jump into the top 3, maybe sometimes 4 if there's really good margins. But here, if I did get that, I would actually one cut this person. So I'd go 2,547, and that would get us 2,292 stubs total. And that would mean we would get a total profit of 324 stubs made. So that is just a very simple way to flip the market. But you do have to remember, when you're creating a sell order, so it's going to the left side of the screen, there is a 10% tax on the market. So just to reiterate, I would just do gold equipment until I'm about 75,000 stubs in total. So say once I got to 25,000, I'd start to flip diamond equipment. And the reason why I want to flip diamond equipment is because they're the best margins on the game. However, they do take a little bit to go through. A lot of people will say to me, my buy orders won't go through, my sell orders won't go through. When you're flipping diamond equipment, it's not always going to sell instantly. It takes time to do this, and it can kind of be a hassle. So say I just got up to 75,000 stubs. These are the things I would look for on the market. So right here, if you're just looking at this card blankly, you can see there's no profit to be made. However, if you click on this card, oh, it just went away. Actually, it was a good example. It was at like 28K, right? It was at 28K. What you would want to do is you'd slide in to be like number 2 or number 3, and then you'd actually be able to make stubs. Here, I'd probably just honestly go for number 1 because all of these numbers on the right side of the screen are so close to each other that I can't really slide in anywhere and make a lot more profit, and it'll just take longer for me to get that card. So if I got that card for 25,365 stubs, I would actually probably want to go for number 1 on this because I'm already making a lot of profit. But if you wanted to make more stubs, you can look at the left side of the screen, 30,911, but then there's a big gap between that and the next one. I'd probably slide in there. I'd probably go like 31K flat. The thing with diamond equipment though, that I need you guys to understand, that it's not always going to move. You're not always going to get your buy orders instantly and your sell orders instantly. It's going to take time, and sometimes you can lose stubs. However, you're going to make more stubs working the market this way than you are going to lose. A good way to see what you have sold and how much you sold it for is to just hit A on anything, come down to completed orders, and you're going to be able to see everything you've bought and sold. So for example, I bought these ice cream gloves, so they were sold to me. It sounds kind of weird to say that, at 1,048 stubs, and then I sold them for 1,355 stubs. And I'm pretty sure this actually includes the tax. Flipping the market is a very tedious process. Like I said a couple minutes ago, I worked the market last night for 13 hours straight just to get this card, and I started out at about 500K, I think. It takes time. But if you don't want to spend money on this game, it is the best option you got. There also might be better methods that are out there. I just find that diamond equipment is going to give you the most bang for your buck because of how big the margins become. Now, besides flipping the market, there are other ways to make stubs in this game. One is just playing the game literally. I mean, it'll give you stubs. It'll give you like 1,000 here or there. And also just at the end of the season 1 reward path, when you start to get the wheel spins or whatever you want to call it, one of the silver rewards can actually give you 7,500 stubs. So that's a good way to get stubs. Also, like Team Affinity, I'm pretty sure there's some in there. It's not a ton of stubs, but it does add up over time. Also doing things like the weekly wonder, like right here, I got 500 stubs and 1,000 stubs. That's pretty good for just doing some moments. Another way to get a lot of stubs is getting a lot of packs, and a good way to do that is playing a lot of conquest. So for example, like the Nation of Baseball, I'm not even done with it, but you guys can see how many packs you're getting. And also just doing these other conquests as well. I think there actually might be an infinite pack glitch in one of them. I don't know. Another way to get a lot of stubs is doing the Road to the Show program. I don't have a video on it yet, but basically all you got to do is just finish that entire program. At the start of the game, I knew people that were getting like 500K from just selling all the equipment. Now you're probably not going to make as much. It's probably maybe at most like 100K. I don't know. I just haven't had time to do it. But that's a good way to do it. And the last method I know of getting stubs is actually exchanges. Now, exchanges, what you would do is you'd go to players, and you can do it for all of these. I actually did one before I started recording this video. The players I put in, it came out to about 1,054 stubs, and I actually ended up getting Christian Javier, who right now he actually might be down a little bit or might not have sold. But at the time, it was like to be able to sell him, it was 1,410. So I put 4,009. And that would have given me 215 stubs if this card sold. I don't really think exchanges is that good of a method. I'm honestly not too familiar with it, and I really don't recommend or do it. Maybe if I try it a little bit more, I could probably make more stubs. I just kind of think it's a lot of luck based, and I'd rather just flip the market. So now let's say you got a lot of stubs and you want to start doing these teams. I would recommend you start with all the teams that don't have diamonds. So a good example would be the Baltimore Orioles, especially Boston, because Rafi could potentially go diamond. The Blue Jays would be a really good one because, like Vladdy's doing really, really good this year. Or a team like the Oakland Athletics is a very good start. One team I'd also recommend doing pretty early is actually the San Diego Padres. The reason why I say do the Padres is because when Fernando Tatis comes back, that's another very high diamond, and he could be like 200K. So you might as well just get that out of the way and save yourself some stubs. But after you do that, I would try to do teams that have low to medium diamonds. So a good example would be the Cleveland Guardians. So Jose Ramirez is about 15K and Clase is about 13, almost 14K. I would try to do this team first just to get those cards out of the way, just because these guys do have a potential to go up to a 90 overall diamond, which is going to increase their price. And it's just a little bit easier to do it that way. Another team that's just like the Guardians is the Marlins and the Brewers. So now let's say you got all the gold teams done. You got some of the lower diamonds. What I'd actually recommend you do is just start buying some of the higher diamonds. Don't finish that team. Just start getting those diamonds. So like a good example would be the St. Louis Cardinals. So you could get Helsley pretty cheap, but then you got to pick between Goldschmidt and Arenado. And actually Arenado's price I think is a little too high right now because he's supercharged. You'd want to get like one of these cards and then kind of just move on to another team. So maybe like the New York Mets is a good one. Like they have a lot of very high diamonds. Like you get Justin Verlander or Scherzer or even Diaz, and just start picking away at each team. So like I kind of did that with the Angels. Like Trout was one of the last players I got just because he's one of the most expensive live series cards. So I waited a little bit to get him. I don't want to spend all of my stubs on one card and not be able to flip on the market. That is a very important thing. Honestly, you want to have at least 100,000 stub gap before you even buy this card, just because that'll allow you to continue flipping the market. Now I probably should have put this before. So the most expensive division is the AL, and the most expensive league in the AL is actually the AL West because you have to get DeGrom, Ohtani, and Trout. If you want to go from cheapest to most expensive, the AL Central is the cheapest, then the NL Central, then it's gonna go NL West, then AL East, then the NL East, then finally the AL West is the most expensive. But that's okay because you're probably gonna get more use out of Sammy Sosa than Mark McGwire anyways. That's basically everything I did. If you guys have any questions, feel free to just ask me in the comments. I'm very good about responding to those. Or if you guys want to talk to me in person, I do stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/JET_Romney. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you guys did enjoy the video, please drop a like and subscribe, and have a good rest of your day, boys.